Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of the Masters Club podcast. Today we have a very interesting guest. I'm very excited for it. And we're going to be holding our phones just to reference the notes because honestly, the topics that we're going to be discussing are quite interesting and very precise. So we'll be doing that. And let me introduce you to the guest. His name is Charles. He's the managing partner at CVML. It's a legal firm based out of the IFC here in Dubai. Charles, you have been awarded one of the 16 legal eagles in Dubai in 2018 by the Arabian Business, and you have also been recognized by Global Lex Falcon Award in 2022. So I am absolutely excited to have you here and hear all the different stories, your perspectives and cases that you have worked on, and advise the audience on how to proceed, especially in real estate, from a legal perspective. So, Charles, if you can tell us a little bit more about CVML, when you were, starting in Dubai, where you started before, which other locations you have, just so people know what CVML is.
Well, first of all, thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. CVML is a French independent law firm established in Paris in 2003.
Okay.
Our operations in Dubai started in 2010 in the IFC, and we've been operating since.
Okay.
We are a boutique law firm. We have our office in Dubai include around 30 members. And we have a special department for real estate and development.
Amazing.
I guess there is no better place to be
Than
than Dubai at the moment, especially
100%.
with the real estate
Market,
enhancement that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Good to know. So specifically focusing on real estate, I want to learn what kind of services you guys provide to investors who are in real estate business, because there are a lot of things, a lot of intricate details, especially in Dubai. There are a lot of inheritance laws and wills and, for people who don't know, for people who just come to Dubai or that are interested in investing here.
I guess before we start talking about all this, the real estate sector is a bit bigger than just investing in real estate 100%. In Dubai. Now we can see lots of investors coming in and out, getting into the market, exiting the market. But before all that, let us define what is real estate.
Yes, please.
Real estate could be investing in a plot of land, in an apartment, in a villa.
Yes.
It could be for industrial use, for commercial use, for residential use. So every sector or every part of this investment has a separate rule book. If you're investing in a plot of land, as an example, you're gonna invest, you're gonna check the zoning, you're gonna check the space, how much you can build on this plot, what you can use the plot for, what's the area is designed or designated for. It is different from investing in a villa in the secondary market.
Yeah, residential, 100%. Yeah.
So there is a need, an obligation on every investor to do a proper exercise of due diligence to know if this investment suits his needs and what is the purpose or the objective behind this investment.
Of course.
So you can see investors buying properties while they are abroad, signing contracts, paying money, and then finding out that the project does not exist. The agent is not registered with RERA.
Yes.
The money disappeared. And then they come to their lawyer crying, we lost our money.
Yeah.
So the legalities are more important than the investment, or as equal as important as the investment.
100%, yeah. And the same goes for commercial as well.
For everything.
Yeah.
Every sector of the real estate or every part of this sector has its own rule book.
Yeah.
Now, as a normal investor, most of them, they think just because they bought one apartment somewhere in Europe that they already know
how it works.
The rules of the game. The rules of the game are changing on a daily basis. Dubai is not Europe, it's not the States. Dubai is not Abu Dhabi.
Yes. Yeah.
There is a separate rule book for every city, for every jurisdiction, and you need to be up to date with the laws, the requirements, the regulations, so you can know what to look at and where to put your money.
Yeah, 100%. I even say it to, my fellow colleagues and all of my investors who are interested. For example, I do residential real estate only, right? So when I get inquiries about commercial, I tell them honestly, listen, it's a very different game altogether. There are different rules. So please consult someone who's a specialist or an expert in that, because it is very different, 100%.
It is.
Yeah.
We've seen people getting a commercial license from Fujairah free zone to open a shop in Dubai Mall.
Yeah.
This license doesn't go with this property.
100%.
It is as easy as doing any other due diligence exercise. You just need to ask the people of expertise to assist you in your investment. Do not invest your money before you do the whole 9 yards.
Right.
You have to decide where to put your money based on what does it meet your needs or answer your questions, and then you can pay. You see people thinking that if I don't pay now, I'm
It's
losing
gonna
the
go,
opportunity.
yeah.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the reality.
Right.
You probably know better on how salespeople put pressure just sometimes to get the
urgency,
deal done.
just to create urgency. Yeah.
But if it doesn't suit you, why do you want to
invest?
Why do you want to invest?
100%. All right. So let's just start from, I guess, the most hot topic of today. Rentals, right? We saw a surge in prices, and definitely the rental migration happened and rent prices started increasing. Now, before, and even today, you can use the rental index. However, landlords looking at the price increase of sales transactions decide that, you know what, the market is going upwards. Let me increase the price of my property 40% from the previous year. How does that affect, let's say, tenants? Is that legal? What is the situation right now?
The relationship between landlords and tenants have been an intense one, a love-hate one, since Dubai, since 2005 or 2004, as far as I can remember. Since all these new freehold projects started to come up.
Right.
And you've seen laws evolving year after year, practices evolving year after year. Now, when Dubai goes through a phase that looks like what we are living now, an increasing demand, a more expensive market, if you want, if you want to, just to keep the words easy.
Right.
You start seeing landlords getting greedy, tenants trying to protect themselves. Well, it is regulated somehow.
Right.
Under which circumstances a landlord can terminate a lease, under which circumstances the lease is forcibly renewable, what are the ratio that can be used to increase the rent. However, you see certain practices that are evolving as well, coming from lawyers, coming from experts, and this is healthy.
Right.
What is not healthy is the landlords who terminate a lease because they want to sell a property and then they decide to rent it for a higher price, and then you see court cases happening, and the courts are full with this kind of cases. Now, usually the most asked question is, I have been asked to vacate the property because the landlord wants to sell, because the landlord wants to improve the property.
Right.
The landlord wants to use it for himself or for his son,
family,
for example. And the moment the tenant leaves, the landlord thinks that the tenant is gone and now I can do whatever I want with my property. And then you see the tenant rediscovering that the landlord didn't improve the property, just painted it and rented it out for more, or he did not use it for his son. In fact, he doesn't have a son, but he just wants
he just wants them out. And,
he wants to rent it for a higher rent. And you see tenants asking for compensation. You see the court full with this kind of cases. And it's good for us as lawyers because it keeps us busy.
Of course.
But at the same time, the landlords need to be aware because sometimes they end up losing more money than what they were expecting to even profit just because they didn't know how to tackle the matter in the right way.
Yeah, 100%. But do you think it's because they don't know or because they want to close their eyes on it and try to get away with it?
No, they wanna get away with it. They want
Yeah,
more return on their investment.
100%. Yeah.
Sometimes they put families in trouble just because they want to make a little bit of extra money, which is expected from investors. They don't even care much most of the times, but
Yeah.
not all of them
Unfortunately,
again.
yeah.
But yeah, there is always a way to get back at your landlord. So if you've been vacated um, unlawfully,
Right.
just check with your lawyer.
100%.
You can get something back probably.
And would you say that in general, the law is more on the tenant side or it's more on landlord side?
The law is stable.
Stable. Okay.
But there are certain practices at the moment that we are seeing that are incentivizing the landlords.
Oh,
For example,
seriously?
you go on RERA, you see a property that is benchmarked at a certain rent range,
Yeah.
and the increase of the rent shouldn't exceed 5%, 10%, or whatever the RERA index is.
Right.
And then you see the landlord, he goes to Dubai municipality, gets a re-evaluation of the rent, and then makes a case against or claims the rent to be increased more than the RERA index. This happens in few cases, in very limited scenarios, but we see it happening more often now, giving, if you want, a leverage or a way out for the landlords.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe that a lot of people need to be aware that if the property is 40% below the market value of the rentals, the landlord has the opportunity to increase it up to even 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Amazing.
But then again, you see the shopping malls coming up with creative ideas to surpass this 20% limitation.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And what are the important laws, would you say, a tenant or an investor? I guess they're all different. What are the certain laws that they need to know of before they even, like basic things, before they consult a lawyer or something that they just have to know before looking in Dubai?
The laws are always updated on the RERA website. And now there is a new platform that have been launched by the UAE cabinet that includes all the federal laws of the UAE. So it is accessible for everyone for free.
Okay.
When it comes to investing in real estate, in purchasing a property, they always need to check the escrow account law and those laws that regulated certain aspects of protecting the investors.
Okay, so we will leave this link below for people to be able to go and access it and read it on their free time. And I guess inheritance is a very big topic in Dubai, right? Because there's a Sharia law, I believe it's called. How does that work for people who are expats, who are not locals? Does it differ between locals and non-locals? Have you seen cases like this? What do people need to keep in mind before investing?
This is another deep topic that could take a full session on its own.
Okay.
However, we're going to try to make it as simple as it could be.
Yeah.
For expats, if you are an expat, you have kids, you have family, you don't, the laws of your country apply on the distribution of your inheritance. So for that, your family needs to address the court in your home country, get a judgment on how to distribute the inheritance, attest this court order by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in your country, by the UAE embassy in your country, and then bring it here, file a case, and then get the court to execute the judgment issued in your home country. If it is to be disputed, it has to be disputed back home.
Okay.
Now,
interesting.
For locals, this is their home country,
Right.
and the courts of the UAE are the relevant or the competent courts to look into that. Now, most of the expatriates, to avoid this lengthy, complicated process, they opt for a will. Now, this will could be done in two forms. If you are an expat, again, we have to separate Muslims from non-Muslims. If you are a Muslim, you have to go to the court to get your will attested. If you are a non-Muslim, you have other options like the DIFC wills to use. If you are a Muslim, the Sharia law will apply on the inheritance because this is the purpose of the Sharia law to apply on Muslims. If you are non-Muslim, then you can decide based on whatever is acceptable by the DIFC wills registrar.
Okay, I see.
You can say, I would like to dispute this and this and this to this son, this uncle, and this sister. And you can say, I want to give everything to one person. This is your will.
Right.
If it's acceptable by the registrar, not disputed by any of the relevant parties based on an enforceable law, then it's enforced. If not, and if you are Muslim, the Sharia law will still apply on your will because it is allowed to a certain extent to distribute the way the things, your assets, the way you think you want, like, or suits you.
Okay, understood. And behind the camera, before we started the episode, we talked a little bit about, how does CVML participate in real estate transactions or disputes? What is your participation in the transaction? How do you help your clients who are investing, whether it would be residential, whatever, or building a building or a hotel, for example?
Yeah.
How does CVML come into play? What are the things that, potential clients could refer to you for?
CVML we usually help our clients starting with, since we were talking about the wills now,
Right.
we help them drafting their wills.
Okay.
Whether in the IFC or with the court.
Is it done before they purchase always, or it can be done after?
It can be done at any point in time. It can be amended at any point in time. This is your will. You decide what you're going to do with it. And it's not related to real estate only. It can be related to any kind of assets, including digital assets, including shares in companies, bank accounts, cars, any asset that you have. We help real estate developers in their daily issues, and their issues are a lot usually.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We help real estate brokers, and we help investors, individuals, and entrepreneurs.
Okay, interesting. So now let's go a bit deeper into this. So, of course, developers have a certain obligation, right? Like certain laws that apply to developers on how they need to perform, what kind of standards they need to meet to be recognized and official in Dubai. What kind of problems developers face? For example, we hear a lot of disputes going on between clients and the developer because they're not delivering on time, or they're defaulting, or, because of the escrow, they cannot access the funds, and then they don't have enough finance to support them through the building construction phase. Can you share a bit more about that, please?
Well, let's talk about new developers coming to town, because
we saw a lot of them coming in. Yeah.
The first advice is check what you can do with the land that you are buying. We see lots of them buying a land that they are planning to sell off plan, not knowing that if you do not pay the full amount for your land or get an NOC from the master developer, you can't start building on. You can start building on your land, but you can't sell it off plan because otherwise you would be selling that you do not own.
Right.
You're selling something that you do not own.
Yeah.
This land is not yours yet. It will become yours when you pay the full price.
Correct.
So you can't sell it off plan
Without owning it.
Other investors stuck with you in the project while you still don't own the land. So this is the first thing. And the newcomers or the developers that are new to Dubai are facing lots of similar issues. The second part is start selling off plan. You can't sell off plan before you have an escrow account, an approved project, and an approved off-plan sales program. And all this is very related to the land department in most of in most of the cases. And this is something that require legal assistance.
Right.
Require a legal study to be done internally because it can jeopardize your project.
100%.
If you can't sell and you are counting on the money that you need from the buyers, then your project will fail eventually. The other problem is buying a plot of land without taking into consideration the zoning, the usage. So you see that there is a master developer selling a new area in Dubai, a new development. And this is how it operates in the city. And then he wants to buy a plot of land and thinking that he wants to open a shopping mall. But this plot of land has been designated by the master developer
for something,
for a clinic or a hospital. And then, again, we're in the same problem. We're building something that we don't...
That we cannot sell,
Yeah. The other thing would be the sales part. The sales part, as much as you see the aggressiveness in the market by the real estate developers, the brokers or the internal sales team can sometimes ruin a developer's reputation. So you would see people buying an apartment, thinking that it's Burj Khalifa view, and then you realize that there is a pole inside the living room, and the outskirt of the building is, designed in a way where you can barely have a little window like this one just to see the Burj.
Yeah.
And this is another way where you can see them disputing in court, not knowing if this is what I bought or you're just giving me another unit. Now, the delivery, again, another trick or another issue usually seen, they tell you that the development has been completed. You have to pay the final payment and go through handover, snag list, etc. And then you realize that the development is not completed internally. They're counting on your money to complete the project. And there is one unit in the building that is completed, and they're changing the unit number whenever you come for handover or snag list. So they complete one unit, and then you see. And we've seen those cases in the courts. It's not something that I'm imagining,
Yeah.
And those are like just,
small examples.
Examples of what you see on daily basis.
Wow.
Now, things are improving. The land department and the other relevant authorities are regulating as much as they can. But again, the creativity of the troublemakers is unlimited.
Yeah. And actually talking about escrow, right? So you mentioned something very important. The developers cannot access escrow account money, correct? While they're building, until they reach a specific milestone, right?
Yes.
So how is it possible that we see cases like this, they need to complete the payment, but inside it's not done, because I actually encountered a project like this, they said we will deliver before the actual handover date. However, they still did not receive the building completion certificate.
the escrow account is based on the amount of money received from buyers based on a certain completion percentage of the project. If your project is not fully completed, that means the amount received into this escrow account is less than what you were expecting. Now, at the moment, probably the projects are fully selling because the market is buzzing.
Right.
There was a time where the market was not buzzing and the projects was not selling as easy, especially the pre-corona and this phase.
Right.
So if you sell 35% or 40% of your project and you received all this money into the escrow account, you still don't have enough to reach a certain completion percentage to claim from the escrow account the remaining of the money.
Right.
And that's what they mean. We have money in the escrow account, but we can't get it because we didn't, or they spent it somewhere else. But this is all supervised. And that's why you see developers abandoning their buildings at 70% or 80% sometimes of completion. And the court sees the property, resell it to another developer, and the investors or the buyers are in trouble because they couldn't get their properties.
Right.
Another tip: the buyer always need to check the reputation of the developer, the reputation of the broker.
Yes.
And at this time in the age, it's easy to check.
Yes, it's all very accessible. Yeah.
Everything is on TikTok, is on Instagram. You know who's who and who's doing a good job, who's not.
Yes, but besides social media, I think going on DLD, and seeing actual, reputation and the broker's number is very important.
It is.
Yeah, because unfortunately, there are a lot of people who, as you said, they're not registered. They don't even pass the RERA exam, so they don't know the basics of real estate in Dubai.
The city is full of brokers.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. It is very damaging to the industry, but it needs to be regulated a bit more.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere in any active city in real estate development, you will see lots of unregistered brokers. It is for the investors.
Right.
They should have the audacity to ask, show me your registration card or what is your registration number.
Yeah, they need to do their due diligence. Yeah.
There are some brokers who work for different agency and they decide this project goes here, this client goes there. It depends on the percentage that they get.
100%.
And regarding you asked me about sometimes they delay in the delivery, which I didn't answer yet. This is all the legal creativity in drafting the SPAs. So when you see the sales and purchase agreement is drafted properly and there is a legal team behind it, they always give room for delay to the developer.
Up to 1 year, I believe, yeah.
But as a normal buyer, if you do not, we have a legal background and it takes us hours to go through it, highlight the risk areas, draft it in a way where the client can understand what is he buying or what he's getting into.
Right.
It is...
it's very hard for a normal investor especially for someone who's purchasing for the first time. They don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one should consider, especially for those who are putting their lifetime savings in a property. This is your lifetime savings. It is the same example as getting married. When you want to get married, you want to know who you are.
Yeah. Who you're signing up for.
Exactly. Yeah. You're going to sleep with this person, wake up with this person, eat, plan, dream, travel. Yeah. It's the same thing. This is the broker. He's getting you something that is going to be with you or with nothing for the rest of your life. And the moment you divorce, you use 50% of your wealth, right? So when you want to sell this property, you might lose as much as 50% as well.
Yeah, that's a good example. That's a good relation. Yeah, 100%. So now we're talking about brokers. Let's talk about legal issues that brokers face. Let's say because there's oversupply of people, right? There are too many people who are working legally, illegally, in between. Also, there are companies that abide by the law and some that don't. So, what cases have you seen, or what are the main issues that, brokers face in Dubai?
Brokers, they are complicated. Brokers, the successful ones are not the ones who makes hits and runs, right? So they plan to build their reputation. They plan on building on every client they have to get another client
Yes.
from. Those are the successful ones. But you still see lots of hits and runs.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
the latest case is not in Dubai, it's in Ras Al Khaimah that we have. They, the broker sold a plot of land to a buyer, asked him to put 10% down payment on the plot, but didn't inform the client about the usage and the zoning of the plot, knowing what is the project of the client. Yes, I have a plot. And included a 10% penalty in case the client doesn't take the plot. The plot, the client doesn't live in the UAE. Following the buzz around
Ras Al
the real
Khaimah, yeah.
estate development in Ras Al Khaimah, they got their client to lose 1.2 million dirhams just because they decided to miss one line from the heads of terms. The client, instead of investing 10, 20, or 30,000 dirhams in a lawyer to go inspect the land, prepare a due diligence report, reassure him that this plot is suitable for his project, he decided to save this money, but 3 months down the line,
He lost
he
much
lost
more.
1.2 million. Those are the brokers that we would like our clients to avoid.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Again, they keep us busy. But this is not the kind of work that you would like to work on. You would like to work, it's always better to work on positive projects.
Yes.
And by positive projects, I mean a successful acquisition rather than a case because the broker didn't or decided to miss one line from the heads of terms.
Right.
It makes you feel that you achieved more and yet you make more money in the future from this specific client if he has a successful transaction rather than winning a case for a client who has been abused by a broker somehow. And excuse my language, probably it's not the right word to use, but it is
It is the
abusing.
reality, yeah.
Other than that, we don't hear from brokers. What we hear from brokers is please introduce us to your clients and we will give you a cut, not knowing that we as lawyers cannot take commission.
Nice. Okay, great. But yes, this is I don't know why this is such a trend, but unfortunately, a lot of, I think, new people who come to Dubai who are sold on the dream of making a fortune in real estate. Unfortunately, that is their approach. They don't focus on building the relationship with clients and their referrals. Instead, they would much rather come to you, ask for referrals, and then, do something else and ditch the client. Yeah.
Yeah, well, plus we operate in a city where most of our team have been living in for so long. We know the market to a certain extent very well, and we know which brokers usually we deal with.
Yeah.
So making new friends is not always as easy.
Okay, understood. And what would you say are some of the legal advantages for people to purchase properties or invest in plots, especially like specifically in Dubai? Are there any or they're not?
The legal advantage is the freehold,
Okay.
the chance to own 100% of a plot. The legal advantage is the flexibility in transferring these plots to your next of kin or to direct family members, because the transfer, the cost of transfer is quite low. It is a stable market. It has been a stable country geopolitically, surrounded by the warm region. You haven't seen at any point in time people in Dubai thinking about what's happening in the region. It's a different haven of
it's like an ecosystem of its own.
Security, yes, yes. So you think about the legal advantages. I mean, you can't talk much about what kind of advantages you can take legally, except for the stability in laws, in outcomes, in economy / security.
Understood. Okay. And this is actually a very interesting question, because we talk about buyers, right? We talk about investors who purchase. What if we flip the narrative? Are there any disputes from the seller side? Are there any problems that people who are selling themselves, that own the plot, that are facing, or no? Or you see it more from the buyer's side?
Everyone could face issues. If you don't know what's the best practice to follow, you'll always face issues. We live in a place where if you stop learning, not if you did not learn, if you stop learning every day, you fall behind the best practices. And now information is accessible for everyone. Everyone knows everything through asking ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is the new Bible for doing business globally. But ChatGPT gets this information from somewhere, and this information is not always reliable, especially when there is local best practices or local regulations to be followed. If you sell me your property now with a check that will bounce tomorrow morning, and during those 24 hours, I sell the property to a third party who is a good intention buyer, right? Or a goodwill buyer. Buyer with a goodwill. He didn't know that this property has been purchased with a check with insufficient funds.
Right.
This property will remain the property of the new buyer who paid for it legally, and you as a seller, you have to follow this, your buyer and the future seller, in courts for some time until you get your money. And good luck if he leaves the country or he decides that he doesn't want to pay you.
Wow, yeah.
A bounce check is no longer criminalized unless it is used with bad intention, which is the case. And yet you'll go to jail, service time, and you lost your property. If he pays you in the meantime, you're lucky if you get a penny on the dollar.
Wow, okay.
So this is one of, just to give you a quick example, because on every scenario, there is a million examples. And now we're talking about the sellers. Like the buyers, the sellers can be fooled. Always seek proper advice from the experts.
Yes, 100%. It's much better to not be greedy, not to save money on legal advice and be protected, rather than, as you mentioned in the previous example, lose 10 times, 100 times more.
Due diligence.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, great. Last question. Obviously, the UAE has, with the latest news, has exited the gray list, right? And now we're in the clear.
Yeah.
Everything we saw with the Russians coming in, bringing money in, the KYC started to become a bit more implemented, harsher. What is the take from legal perspective on cryptocurrency, because a lot of people opt for cryptocurrency to purchase real estate. However, it's not as regulated as it should be. It's not there yet, right? There are certain entities like Binance has come in and Rain. However, how do people protect themselves when a buyer comes with crypto? Or is it something that you deal with, or you haven't seen any cases like this?
Now, cryptocurrency is paid through regulated platforms that shows the history of purchase supported by the proper proof and documentation. If cleared by the right auditor, crypto auditor, it can be used, provided that it is declared when there is tax payments to be made. There is nothing that prohibits you in the UAE to buy a property using cryptocurrency,
Yes.
provided that you're paying your taxes in case there is any taxes to be paid or declared. Paying in crypto for an apartment using a cold wallet with zero background, with zero proof of documentation or proof of payments or payments history, or enough to convince your crypto auditor that these funds are not generated from a crime, at least,
Yeah.
it is not advisable.
Okay, understood. All right. Thank you, Charles, so much. We have to cut this short, but honestly, we could sit here and talk for hours because this is so interesting. And I think a lot of people will learn a lot of new things. But I will leave Charles's and CVML information down in the description. Anyone who needs legal advice or you're thinking of investing into Dubai's real estate market, I highly recommend you guys reach out to them just to get a second opinion or to have a backup or just to put your mind at ease. Honestly, this is a must to do because you don't want to face any problems later on. It's much better to be safe than sorry. And thank you, Charles, so much for coming, for sharing all of this with the people that are watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope we probably will do another one soon.
Why not?
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.